Hello, Capricorn. Welcome to your reading for the week of October 19th through 25th. We're going to open up the energy of the reading today with, look at that, the ant spirit. Time to collaborate. I like it. May not be the first thing we think of when we think of like what our week's going to be like, but collaboration, time to collaborate. How can we do that if we're part of a collaboration now? How can we improve that relationship or that dynamic? What are we in collaboration with? The larger universe, yeah. Our friends, our family, our coworkers, our spouses, our kids, our pets, our plants, How can we collaborate? Well, let's put that into some context. We've got the Hermit. Of course we do. Because the Hermit is saying, I don't really want to collaborate. I kind of like doing what I'm doing, We have a 10. Look at that. 10 of Cups. Beautiful. We have a Hanged Man. Maybe the Hermit is kind of biting the bullet and saying, okay, fine, I'll collaborate. Page of Cups. We've got the Fool. Look at that. Very nice pillar of major arcana cards here. We have a Queen of Swords. Ace of Swords, nice. Ace of Cups, even better. 6 of Cups, I like that one too. Yeah, collaboration is really going to feel good right now. The 6 and the 10, the Ace, all the Cups cards here talking about that kind of dynamic, that family kind of dynamic where it feels good, And finally, we have a Queen of Cups. So we do have a decent amount of court cards here. So I can see that there is some sort of a group aspect to your life right now, or this week is kind of highlighting any groups of people that you might be involved with, okay? No matter how loosely or even like how tightly. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set this down right over here with our little Tibetan prayer wheel right there on top. And we're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card might be, put your prediction in the comments right below the video. Now, as we look around the room, we obviously see major arcana cards. Very cool. We don't have any fire, right? What we have is water, 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 water. And even the Hanged Man's water, right? We see a little bit of air, good air too, by the way. We don't even see any earth cards. It's mostly majors and water. And so this is different than, it's interesting because I just did a Sagittarius reading. And the message there was take the lead, right? They got the stag spirit. It was take the lead, right? And then there was no water cards at all. And now you have this card of time to collaborate and you get all the water cards, So it's really interesting anyway. But let's talk about our Hermit, first of all. This week, break away from noise, okay? Take a time out from social media, TV, the constant chatter, all that sensory input. It's kind of like we're putting on the big noise-canceling headphones for a while, and we're just going to zone out on all the noise of life, okay? And I told this to Sagittarius too, that we've got to stop with the doom scrolling and all of that social media stuff, that especially right before bed. Now, I'm all about social media. I make my living on social media. But we need to be able to sleep at night, okay? And we need to understand how our technologies are separating us when they should be bringing us together, okay? So let's just be aware of that. That's all. But take a break from some of the noise with this Hermit energy this week. Spend some time alone to recharge your emotional battery. This time to collaborate, maybe the message here is that you've been collaborating for a long time now and you need a break. For some of you, this is going to be the hermit energy that says you need to get a little bit of alone time. You've been family, friends. Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe it's been a really majorly collaborative time for you. So it may be, maybe the irony here is that it's not, that it has been collaboration time for a long time, and you might need a little bit of alone time just to recharge your emotional batteries. It's a good week for journaling, reflecting on what really matters, reflecting on what kind of collaborations you're involved with and why, what sort of groups are you associated with, no matter how loosely or how tightly, to journal and reflect on that. Seek out quiet wisdom from within. You're not looking for external validation right now, okay? Read something meaningful instead of the doom scrolling, okay? Read something, sometimes when there are a couple of books that I go back to when I'm feeling kind of, when I'm feeling just kind of disconnected or lost or frazzled. I tend to go back to Mika Waltari, the Egyptian, Sinyuhe, the Egyptian, or I go back to Raja Yoga by Swami Vivekananda. Those are my two go-tos. I know it's not spectacular. To me, they are. To me, the first time when I found, I don't remember exactly where I have an old 1949 copy of the Egyptian. I found it, I think, in Santa Cruz at like a thrift store or something like that. I just remember being on the beach in Santa Cruz reading that book. Everybody else was at the beach running around, jumping in the waves. I was just lying there on a blanket reading that book. Used a little tiny seashell as a bookmark, Anyway, and so I always go back to that story whenever I need to sort of, just recenter myself or something like that. So do something like that too. Read something meaningful rather than, and think of it as all the time, all the hours we spend doom scrolling. Maybe you could be, reading something. Get the Google Books or something and read a book on that platform, or better yet, a physical book. Whatever you got to do, right? However you need to do it. But it would be a good week for that. It could be that a lot of you are needing that time out from this major group kind of life. Maybe it's your social life's very active, or it's been just a lot of people around generally. It's a good time for a little bit of quiet reflection and meaningful immersion in some sort of some uplifting or positive or meaningful material. Rest more, okay? Your energy level is going to be very, very important for you. Solitude is going to create a little bit of strength. This could be you going into that fortress of solitude, either in preparation for the collaboration that's coming, later this week, or that you've been sort of experiencing, in weeks past. For some of you, I think that this is like, get some quiet time in now, because things are about to get really, really busy. The 10 of Cups especially. It may be that your house is suddenly going to be full of family members. And I don't know if maybe for the holidays you're hosting the holidays or something. Take advantage of your hermit time now, because that 10 of Cups is like everybody's coming to your house, okay? For some of you anyway, maybe not all of you. But we'll talk about the 10 of Cups, because this is a really good card for happiness, for celebration, for family. To me, this is the dream come true card. But it's also emotional fulfillment, okay? I think that's very close for you, so you want to nurture that. This is that card of spending time with loved ones and letting them know that they matter, that you care about them. There's those bonds, those bigger picture sort of associations and connections that we have. Yeah. And so it's contrast between the Hermit and this card. But this card's also about, in hermit mode, in that sort of fortress of solitude, you're appreciating those peaceful moments. So the Hermit really knows how to slow down and stop and rest and appreciate and just admire life. Like how many times you just like look out at the world and just like you see a tree and you just admire the tree. No, I usually see trees as they're going like this past the car window, How many times do we stop and just say, wow, look, dirt, admire the moments. appreciate the peaceful moments before they just whiz by us, okay? So the Hermit is that kind of card that's saying slow down and appreciate, okay? This is a good week for strengthening your home environment, okay? And the Hermit might be part of this now too, is that it's time to collaborate, yeah, but maybe not in the way we think. Maybe it's not collaborate out in the world, business, getting together, making big plans and creating more products and whatever, like accomplishing things. Maybe this is saying time to collaborate at home now. You know, time to make your living situation full of more love and laughter. Yeah, focus on that collaboration, the personal or internal or the home collaboration, even if it's just you. Okay? Even if it's just you, maybe you live alone. Okay? Just collaborate with Spirit. How do you fill your home up with more love? How do you make it feel warmer? Maybe you're going to be doing a little redecorating this week, beautifying the home a little bit. I can see that with some of these cards. Focus on harmony over perfection in all your relationships. Okay? How do we, especially with friendships and even coworkers and spouses and things like this, nobody's perfect. We all have flaws. Maybe somebody, they don't always tell the truth, or maybe they maybe they exaggerate, or maybe they got some bad habits. Yeah, so do we. But we can still enjoy the company of people, unless they do something that's really kind of unforgivable, right? But, it's just people have their quirks, yeah. Express gratitude for how far you've come in life, how far your heart has come, okay? Love right now is the measure of your success. So you're collaborating to bring more love and happiness, joy and laughter, peace, more fulfillment into your life. And this is a very good week for that, okay? So how are we collaborating to make our life feel happier and feel better? Okay, this isn't, again, look, no pentacles. No pentacles, so we might not even talk about money at all, right? I feel like we maybe might have some suggestion about money, but stay tuned for the extended reading because we will clarify love and money in the extended reading, okay? But as far as this, our main reading here, the general reading, we don't see any pentacles. Not that it is not a time for earning money, but it's a time, I think, for how do we collaborate to make the rest of our life feel good too, okay? Maybe, I don't know, maybe the money's already coming in, maybe that's not the focus for the week, okay? But the Hanged Man is literally saying stop forcing progress. Pause. See your life from a different angle. Time to collaborate. What's the first thing I thought of was time to collaborate. How do we join? It's like an artist collaborating with a producer in order to make a best-selling, hit album, How do we collaborate to get more money? How do we collaborate to build something bigger? The Hanged Man is saying, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe we need to see things from a different angle. Maybe we're collaborating not for a certain type of progress or a certain type of goal or accomplishments or, financial stuff. Maybe we're collaborating for joy. Maybe we're collaborating for, planning a vacation or a holiday or something like this, So stop forcing progress. Maybe this is that week where we're focused on other types of progress. It could be that some of you feel like your plans have stalled a little bit. And if that's the case, what can we do during this downtime? What can we learn? What are we supposed to learn during the pause? Okay, the Hanged Man sometimes is life just hit the pause button on some project or something, right? Or like whatever we've been trying to do has stalled for now. It's a pause button. And the Hermit might be looking within to try to find out, like, okay, the external stuff is on hold. What can I build while I wait? What should I be working on while I wait for the external stuff to start moving again? How do we take advantage of this downtime? Well, maybe this is then collaborating on something else. Maybe one of your projects is on hold. It's not just, we're not just going to sit there on our thumbs. Well, maybe, I don't know, what's the phrase? Sit there on your hands, I guess. Don't sit on your thumb, you'll break your thumb. That's silly. But how do we collaborate on something else? What else is there for us to do, right? And so for some of you, yeah, it's going to be externally things have paused. There's no pentacles. Okay, well, maybe stuff at work is kind of like, it's on hold. There's a project you've been working on or something that's stalled out or it's on pause. Fine. It's a good time to focus on other stuff. I guess that's the point. So spend this week not rushing through anything, searching for that stillness, not looking at anything as really being a punishment, but as an opportunity. Yeah. If there are any conflicts in your life this week, try to view things from the other person's point of view. Okay. We're sort of surrendering to the circumstances, and we are changing our perspective on something. Yeah. I think something's flipped. I think instead of getting all the pentacles, which is saying you're climbing up the mountain and you're getting to your goals and you're achieving all of the things that you've been trying to achieve, I feel like this is like we're flipping it to different goals now. Now we're thinking of not the 10 of Pentacles, not how we want our life to look, right? But how we want our life to feel. And that I think that's kind of a flip here. I think something's paused. Something's paused in your life, and it's forcing you to look at it from a different point of view. That maybe this isn't a bad thing. This isn't an obstacle or a hardship. This might be an opportunity, because now we get to focus on friends or family or love or joy, rather than on how do I get further up the mountain. And I think that's kind of the Page of Cups, looking at this fish in the percolator, not thinking, there's a fish in my coffee, but thinking, wow, this is a kind of weird opportunity. What can I do with this? How can I collaborate? The time for collaboration. In other words, how do I collaborate with this moment, with spirit in this moment now where I find myself? Not what I wish it would have looked like, or not what I thought it was going to be. How do I collaborate with spirit in this moment? The Page of Cups, anyway. I feel like a lot of you are going to be getting some kind of an emotional surprise, a fish in a percolator. It may be a message, it may be a sign, symbol, a synchronicity. It could literally be like a email or a text message or a sweet, letter in the mailbox or something, right? But be open to inspiration. Be open to these opportunities, and make sure that you pause and you look at them and see their potential. Okay. For a lot of you, this is going to be an inspiration that's coming in. Your creativity is really calling you. It's not about what's going to make money. It's going to be about what feels good, what feels right. Say yes to something that makes you feel good, happy, that makes you laugh, that makes you feel hopeful. Okay? It's not about just saying yes to what's going to earn. Say yes to what's going to be, collaborate, not just for what's going to make money. Collaborate on what's going to make love, what's going to make happiness and joy more abundant in your life. And also a good week to express your feelings. Even if if it feels weird, even if it feels a little awkward, be honest about how you feel about the things, about people. Tell someone how you care about them, Even if it's just kind of like, I don't really know how to say this, but hey, I love you, something like that. A good week for writing, painting, singing, dreaming, with no editing. Minimal editing. We have a couple of swords cards. Minimal editing. Show kindness to people, especially people that need a little bit of encouragement. Tell a joke, make somebody laugh, give somebody a compliment. Okay. Stay soft, stay curious, and Look for those small things that may be opportunities for bigger collaboration for love, joy, beauty, and laughter. Okay? A good week for all of those things. This is going to be a real blessing of a week. And of course, we have the Fool card too, which is just very open to new beginnings, very open to new things. The Fool doesn't really have an agenda, you know? The Fool isn't saying, okay, I'm going to say yes to things, but only those things that are going to make money, you know, or only those things that are going to be like the guarantee, the sure thing. The Fool's kind of open to whatever life has. It's really, the Fool is that card literally of like collaborating with the moment. Time to collaborate with the moment. Yeah, be here now kind of thing. The Fool is infinitely curious. The Fool is a card of sort of new beginnings. Okay, so what things are we going to kind of start today, you know? Start something new this week, even if it's very small. Something that shifts your routine or changes your perspective, something out of the ordinary, something different. In other words, if we've been all pentacles, right now we're going to be all cups, you know, and a little bit of swords. Obviously, we need to, you know, we need our consciousness here. So do something small that shifts your routine, that shifts kind of, you know, what your goals are for the week. You still, of course, maybe still have your job. You're still going to make money. Still got to pay bills. You still have a couple of swords cards, right? You're still doing all the responsible things. Start something new that is kind of like you're following a fish in a percolator. It might blossom into a really wonderful, happy, joyous day or week or even long-term relationship. Say yes to one opportunity that feels fresh, feels exciting. Try a different route home. Wear a different outfit. You know, plan something different socially. It might be a good way to reset your energy. Okay? Especially, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a contrast with the Hermit, right? Because the Hermit's kind of like time alone, and you need introspection, and you need to be journaling and all that stuff. But you can also do this one thing, plan this one thing, plan an outing or some kind of a social event, or, you know, invite somebody somewhere, something like that. Okay. This week, don't wait for the perfect timing. It's kind of like if you feel it, allow yourself to go forward with it. Okay. Spend time with people that make you feel happy and joyous, that make you laugh, people that make you feel adventurous. Okay. This is really like, I think you're being very discerning about what you're collaborating with or who you're collaborating with or collaborating for or on, you know? So you're collaborating on things that are going to bring more joy. Collaborate with people that make you feel adventurous. Collaborate on some kind of a social outing or go on a hike or a walk or plan a trip to the park or something with the kids or the nieces and nephews or whatever. Maybe also a week of cleaning or reorganizing a particular room in your house that you might be thinking about repurposing. Yeah, good time for that this week too. You know, kind of collaborating with your house, collaborating with spirit. Saying, okay, I'm going to, that spare closet or whatever, I'm going to turn that into a vocal booth and start doing ASMR, like voiceovers or I don't know what, start singing. Or that little corner of the yard, okay, I'm going to repurpose that into a little altar or shrine or a garden or build a fountain or whatever, or something, you know. So cleaning or reorganizing something, clearing something out that you have an idea of what you want to put there. In other words, let your curiosity sort of lead you. This week is going to favor the kind of spontaneous collaborations over hesitation, okay? The Fool is the big fat zero. It's like open to everything. Infinite possibilities here for collaborate. Every moment can be an infinite collaboration with anything. I think we do need a little bit of discernment in order to to make the right kind of choices here. So I'm thankful we have a little bit of water energy. And we do have a Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is making very firm decisions. You know, isn't heavily influenced by other people's opinions, as kind of being guided by the heart a little bit, but is gaining sort of a bigger perspective on things too. One thing I do want to do, and before we get to the Queen of Swords, I want to do a manifestation oracle card. Here we have Shining Wisdom. Seek teachings that support you as you manifest your goals. I learn what I need to know. I like that because it's implying the first glance here is like you're going to study a textbook. Study a book that's going to teach you how to build the thing. If you're trying to climb a mountain, right? Well, study a book on mountain climbing. Okay, yeah, that's pretty obvious interpretation. That's like first glance. Yeah, teach me something to help me get to my goal. I want to fix my car. I got to read one of those car repair manuals. Makes sense. But what if the Hanged Man and the Hermit and the Fool are kind of saying like, you want to climb your mountain, you want to get to your goals, you want to earn your money, or you want your success or whatever. Maybe you seek a teaching that instead of being directly, obviously on the nose related, you do something that's inspiring. You read something or you seek out a teaching that's just going to arouse your curiosity, that's going to spark your imagination, that's going to excite you. You know, it's like for me when I'm having a difficult time in life, I read Raja Yoga or I read The Egyptian, you know, as inspiration, not as like I'm studying a textbook manual about how I'm going to overcome my challenges. So seeking that wisdom, seeking that teaching, I learn what I need to know. Maybe it's kind of looking at things a different way, just like the collaboration. It's not so much got to collaborate toward the goal. Maybe it's like we're collaborating on other things that are going to enrich our lives in other ways. That's going to help us get to our goal anyway, you know. Anyway, just an interesting card. But the Queen of Swords, okay? It's a good week to speak clearly and make decisions and be a leader, communicate. Don't mince words this week. Try to be as honest as possible, but don't isolate yourself with your words. Yeah. It's kind of like we have to be kind of direct, but also gentle. We don't want anybody in our life right now to like miss the point because we're being too poetic with our language or too subtle. Say what needs to be said, say it clearly, say it calmly. Set boundaries, emotional boundaries, especially if this is, like if all your family's coming over to your house, make some rules, set some emotional boundaries. And speak up kindly, okay? You're not trying to please everybody. You're focusing on truth rather than the people-pleasing type of energy. But at the same time, you want to be hospitable and welcoming and all that kind of stuff. We're looking for the collaboration, but it doesn't mean that you need to be overwhelmed emotionally. You know, 10 of Cups sometimes is emotional overwhelm, especially if that hermit is saying, oh gosh, I've got every family member coming over to my house for the holidays. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I feel like you can handle it, but you're going to have to be the leader. You're going to have to speak up, okay? This is a card of discernment. Before giving any kind of advice, before trusting in anybody, I feel like you got to have a good head on your shoulders. This is a good week for decluttering your thoughts and your surroundings. Okay, so again with that Fool energy, so clearing out thoughts, sort of establishing some kind of an order, some kind of plan, so we don't get emotionally overwhelmed. If this is social kind of family, friends, collaboration. Okay? For those of you that are kind of expecting a lot of people to show up in your life, we've got to prepare ourselves mentally so that we don't get overwhelmed. Try to let wisdom guide your choices. This week, honesty and independence. Maintain your peace of mind. Kind of like at all costs, you know? Especially if the Fool and the Hermit are sort of on their own lonely journeys. We see a lot of cards here of the social energy. So it could be that this week really is gonna take you out of your hermit mode, because there's just gonna be a lot of social stuff going on. You know, a lot of good things. The social stuff, they feel nice, right? But it could also just be a lot. Yeah. So the Ace of Swords over here now, speak your truth. Clear, confident, sort of truth, okay? This is, again, a card of kind of starting a new plan or a new project or a new conversation. So it's kind of the Fool, again, with that, you know, let's pick one thing and let's do it. And it's going to be a little bit different. Maybe this is that conversation that we've been wanting to have, but we haven't had it. Maybe this is with the Page of Cups. We've always been wanting to tell somebody kind of how we feel about them, or we had something to communicate to somebody, but we've been hesitating. Okay. A good week for starting a new project or getting a new plan sort of fleshed out. Okay. Write things down this week too. Maybe a lot of ideas are coming through. Write them down. Okay, because maybe we'll feel overwhelmed if we try to keep track of everything mentally. So keep yourself organized by writing things down, keeping a schedule, that sort of thing. Journaling, of course, like we talked about, is going to be very important, especially if suddenly life starts getting very, very busy with the social stuff or family stuff or friend things going on. Keep your thoughts and your feelings organized by writing everything down. Avoid gossip. Okay? With the Queen of Swords, the Ace of Swords, keep your communication clear, clean, and direct. No gossip, no entanglements, no drama. Okay? Especially if family's coming over, right? Or maybe you're just going into a social situation and you know it's going to be stressful already. You know it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. Let's try to keep it streamlined and keep it, you know, as easy as possible. Let's avoid too much emotional reaction. There's a lot of water cards here, right? So make sure that you seek the facts of a situation before you react emotionally. Okay? Use your logic to solve problems. Your emotions are going to be heightened. You're going to be very emotionally sensitive this week. So make sure that you use your logic to solve the problems and to react and to communicate rather than letting your emotions sort of take over. Because there's a lot of water here, okay? Clarity is going to be really a good thing for you. There may be a lot of emotional energy going on already. It's cups, 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 cups. Hanged Man is even watery energy as well, you know. So, you know, clarity is going to really go a long way to help you navigate the heightened emotions. And again, the emotional energy we see is very good, you know. It's a joyous thing. It's not like there's not disappointment, there's not heartbreak, there's not sadness. This is emotional fulfillment. This is group, family, community stuff. It's love. It might just be a lot of it, you know. And sometimes we might feel a little overwhelmed by all those emotions. We have an Ace of Cups here too, and this is emotional renewal. I feel like you are opening your heart to receive a lot of this good blessings, a lot of the miracles of life, okay? A good week for expressing the gratitude for those things, for the joy, for the simple pleasures, okay? Love is going to multiply when we recognize it. When we say, I see you, love, it's going to reproduce. This is also a good week to tell that person that you care about them. I feel like for a lot of you, there's been somebody in your life that's really important to you and you want to tell them something. Tell them that something. Tell them that you care or something like that. Or heal the relationship. Is that part of this? Because that connection, you reaching out, is going to help to reestablish that strong connection with somebody at the heart level. Okay? Allow yourself to feel all of this water energy. You don't have to avoid your feelings right now, okay? Because they're going to be fulfilling, they're going to be healing, they're going to be inspiring, and they're going to offer you the opportunity to collaborate with those feelings even, right? Collaborating with the feelings to create more beauty and joy. A good week to start a creative project. Again, with the Fool, with the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Cups here, start something new. It could be a creative, project. It could be a spiritual practice. Start something that's going to fill your cup. And maybe it's going to earn money. That's not the point. The point is that it's going to feel good. It's going to feel emotionally fulfilling and rewarding. Say yes to new friendships is a good time for romance. Yeah. Really good time for that. But only if it feels inspired and it feels natural, Try to lead with compassion and gratitude and love. And I think you're going to see everything kind of just gets easier. Everything softens this week for you. Yeah. 6 of Cups coming next. Nostalgia may be surfacing a little bit. And if you are having these fond memories of the past, use those memories to focus, to sort of remember what truly matters in your life. This may be that time for some of you that have that conversation that you need to have to tell somebody how you feel. It might be like a reconnection with an old friend or a family member, okay? To reestablish a bond that you had. To maybe strengthen a bond that you do have already, okay? Maybe even this week do something that reminds you of like a joy from childhood. I think as adults we love that, don't we? Sometimes I love going to my daughter's 5. She doesn't do baseball or anything yet. But she has friends from jiu-jitsu class. They're a little bit older. Some of them do soccer or t-ball. Some of them do football, the older kids. And so we go to their games sometimes to support them, And it feels good for me because it's a little bit nostalgic. Because I remember when I was, I guess 10, 11 years old, I was playing Little League baseball. So I remember going to the fields and, I remember that I see the kids running around with their friends. Like, that's how I used to be, And so it feels good. So allow yourself to do something like that this week. Do something that at least reminds you of a childhood joy. You don't have to put the stirrups on and the helmet and go grab a bat or anything, but just to go and like watch the game with your family or do something that reminds you of that childhood joy, okay? Another card that's saying, let kindness and love and laughter lead you. That your generosity in love right now is going to attract more of it. You're going to bring more warmth, more playfulness into your daily life. Clearing out the emotional clutter too. I think maybe there's kind of some letting go or some forgiveness that needs to be implemented, okay? That Fool is kind of, really clearing things out. And I feel that the Fool is kind of ready for all the good emotions to come in. And I feel like there's really going to be a flood of the good vibes this week, to the point where maybe some of you are going to feel a little overwhelmed. And maybe the Hermit is saying, in all the good vibes here, sometimes you got to just go take a little time out for yourself and just kind of relax, be by yourself, then go back to the party, Healing for you is going to come through these acts of love. And I think it's going to be a really emotional week, but it's going to be joyous. Okay, it's really good feelings. The Queen of Cups is, kind of a card that is trying to deal with all of the emotions right now. So, emotional health, right? Queen of Cups, emotional health. Hydrate, rest, breathe. Especially if there is a lot going on, if you're just surrounded by a lot of people, and it's really, I used to remember as a kid going to like my grandmother's house for the holidays. And this was back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, let's be honest, when there was just a lot of people there. The house was just full of people. And as a kid, almost a teenager, I was kind of overwhelmed. There's just a lot of people, a lot of noise, a lot of talking, a lot of laughter, and it just kind of started to get a little anxious. So I'd kind of go in the back room, or I'd go outside. My grandmother had a nice backyard. It was small, but she had a lot of plants growing, And I would just go back there and like look for frogs or something, or like, and just to relax, just to kind of escape all the heat and the noise and the crowded festivities. Yeah, just to go have just to have a breath. Yeah. Offer compassion and love to people this week, but don't feel like you have to take on anyone else's pain. Don't absorb too much of other people's vibrations right now. Okay? Keep it, keep the positive energy coming in, but make sure you don't take on any kind of burdens or take on any kind of pain or low vibrational energy. Because again, I feel like you're very emotionally sensitive right now. Taking all the good stuff, just be careful that not too much of the low frequency vibrations come in. Maybe even spend time near water if you can. That helps to recharge you emotionally and intuitively as well, okay? Healthy boundaries, like we talked about with the Queen of Swords. Set up some emotional boundaries. Stay kind, but protect yourself from taking on too much and getting overwhelmed. Journaling and meditating are going to be a highlight this week to process your emotions. Empathy is going to be one of your major strengths. Make sure that your empathy doesn't attract too much of the overwhelming energy that's going to weigh you down. Okay? Lead with love, but also protect your peace. Now let's look at the mystery card. It's been sitting over here for a while. My readings have been getting longer. I strive to make them shorter, but they get longer. I don't know how that happens. I could see an Empress being over here. I can see maybe even the Devil card, your superpower card. I kind of feel like we're going to get some Pentacles here for some reason. If you have a prediction, please put it in the comments down below, and also let me know where you're watching from. Yeah, I want to show YouTube that this is a kind of a global community. We have people here from all over the world, and I love to see that. From all the different places I didn't even know were on the map. I love to see that. It's so cool to me. Let's see what this card is. Yep, 8 of Pentacles. So in all of this emotional energy, here you are just plugging away at life. Here you are just kind of trying to keep it's like it. I don't know. It's kind of like there's it's like we're heading towards the end of the year. Holidays are coming up, right? So I feel like there's a lot of social stuff going on. There's a lot of plans. Maybe it's just like every day you've got some family activity, some friend activity, some work, like a holiday party, and there's this and there's that. This is really the season, right, for all of the busy kind of social stuff. And here you are just trying to maintain, trying to keep track of it all, really, and trying to just stay organized even in a way, trying to be patient. Okay. I think there is some discipline here as well. Now, this card is usually about refining your skills by the mastery of something that comes through repetition. Okay, focusing on the details. Yeah, trying to strive to do the very best job that we can. Creating a routine in your life that's going to support flow and focus. Okay, so that we don't get overwhelmed. There's usually a card of avoiding distractions, staying committed to your craft, knowing that something's going to take time to sort of cultivate. This might even be investing in something that's going to improve your work. Okay, discipline, but an upgrade, right? And so when we're talking about the collaboration and the shining wisdom, that if you're investing in something that's going to make your life easier, maybe it's not what we think. We think collaboration, we think the education, right? Our two oracle cards. I think collaboration and education. Okay, well then I need to learn a trade. I need to up my skill set so I can make more money. I need to collaborate with other people. I need to start a team thing that we're going to work together. We kind of see it as a very practical and very goal oriented, or even financial, or money earning kind of orientation, right? But I'm kind of looking at this as we've got to invest in something that's going to make our lives easier. We got to invest in ourselves, invest in other people, collaborate in this for the emotional fulfillment, the emotional goals. Investing in our friend, investing in that new person that we're going to meet, investing in this social gathering or this event that we're planning or that we're going to be a part of, And, investing in equipment that improves our work, or education that improves our work. Invest in, I don't know, maybe spiritual texts rather than the how-to manual. Invest in something inspiring. Investing in a piece of art. Investing in a moment with your friend or something, It's not so practical. It's not related to a 10 of Pentacles. It's related to emotional fulfillment, the 10 of Cups. Yeah. So I like that we kind of have that contrast here. That's kind of it's not what we thought it was going to be. This is very good. Anyway, we're going to do the extended reading. Click on the join button that is right down there. We're going to do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do oracle cards. We will clarify love and money. And we'll do the yes/no coin. Capricorn, I thank you, I love you, and we are all in this together.